All right, time now for a look at the latest business news. And Stephen Carroll joining us in the studio. Stephen, you've been looking at this major investment conference in Saudi Arabia kicking off today, and it's been described as an acute public relations crisis.
That's right. The Saudi Future Investment Initiative was meant to bring together investors and policymakers to discuss Saudi Arabia's plans to diversify its economy. But since the death of Jamal Khashoggi, prominent business and political figures have been dropping out of the event. Now, among those not going are the head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, and the US Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin. But as Emerald Maxwell now reports, many companies whose CEOs have dropped out will still be represented at the event.
The first arrivals at Saudi Arabia's flagship investment summit. But with the killing of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi casting a long shadow, the guest list this year is a far cry from the summit's inaugural edition in 2017. Leaders from Europe, Australia and the US are conspicuous by their absence. International Monetary Fund Christine Lagarde has also pulled out. From the business world, most of the high-profile execs due to attend have dropped out, including the heads of Siemens, EDF, Uber and JP Morgan. Among those still expected are Pepsi and the consultancy firm sponsoring the event. The boss of Total has also confirmed his attendance, saying in a statement on the company's website,
"I am convinced that an empty chairs at the table strategy serves no useful purpose, especially when it comes to respect for human rights."
It's a blow to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 plan, an attempt to turn Saudi Arabia into a tech and tourist hub. But perhaps not a fatal one. With so much at stake in the kingdom, many of the big names are still sending lower-level representatives. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has also confirmed, and Russia looks likely to turn up, as does the kingdom's largest trading partner, China, which has largely stayed silent on the Khashoggi case. On the eve of the conference, US Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin also met with the Crown Prince, officially for a meeting to combat terrorism financing.
Well, meanwhile, Germany has stopped all arms exports to Saudi Arabia until the Khashoggi case is cleared up. Chancellor Angela Merkel made the announcement at a pre-election rally in the state of Hessen. The country's economy minister has called on other European countries to do the same. Saudi Arabia also imports weapons from the UK, Spain and France. The European Commission will later issue a formal response to the Italian government's 2019 budget. The EU has already reprimanded Rome for its spending plans, which will see the budget deficit rise significantly thanks to changes to pensions and welfare payments. Italy's economy minister wrote to Brussels to say that new spending was needed to boost the Eurozone's third largest economy. The Commission is now expected to demand that Rome resubmit its budget or risk millions of euros in fines. Well, let's take a look at how all that's going down in the markets for you. European markets opening firmly in the red, following on a trend that had started on Wall Street and fed into Asian trading as well. The FTSE MIB in Milan down by 1% at the open, as you can see, and a sweep of pretty significant falls across the board there after that negative lead coming from earlier on. Italian banks trading down on the Italian markets today. On the Asian markets, it was a pretty similar picture. All the Asian shares tumbling into the red. Fairly significant falls, in fact, across the board. The Nikkei in Tokyo down over 2.5%. Similar picture. Hong Kong down almost 3% in the afternoon trading there. This somewhat due to worries over the Chinese economy, but also some of that negative lead coming from Wall Street as well, rattling investors. Over on the currency markets, the euro trading for just under $1.15 and for 88 pence sterling. Next, the car maker Renault has seen its revenues drop by 6% between July and September. The slowdown exacerbated by currency fluctuations in emerging markets and the company leaving the Iranian market. Sales plunged particularly in Turkey, but grew by almost 9% in Europe over the 3-month period. Renault has revised down its sales growth for 2018 to 2%, compared to the 3% that it previously indicated. Its shares opening down around 4% in Paris. The Swiss bank UBS has told staff that they can go to China just days after it warned them to delay travelling to the country. The advice was issued after one of the company's private banking advisors was asked by government authorities to stay in China and answer questions after a client meeting. In a statement, UBS said that it will allow staff to travel freely in and out of China and that it was business as usual for the bank there. Finally, for me, Japan is to stop providing development aid to China from next year. Now, Tokyo started the Development Assistance Programme in 1979. Since then, it's contributed more than 22 billion euros worth of grants, loans and technical assistance to the country. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is expected to announce a halt to any new projects when he meets the Chinese Premier on Friday. Perhaps not surprising, though, as China actually overtook Japan as the world's second largest economy in 2010, but they were still giving them development aid.
Those rivalries don't go away, do they, Stephen? All right, Stephen Carroll with a look at the business news. He'll be back later on in the day.